All right, so once you get to your mat, go ahead and find a child's pose. Big toes together, knees wide. Crawl those arms long ahead of you and allow your torso to just melt. Maybe the chin comes to the mat, maybe the forehead. Maybe the head is hanging, depending on how low you get here. But as you arrive, turn the awareness to the breath and start to just observe the inhale, the exhale. And with this observation, the breath naturally changes quality. So notice if you can take that even further by deepening the inhales, making them fuller, feeling the expansion front to back and side to side. And then let the exhale be nice and long. Feel everything squeeze inward as the breath leaves the body. And then start again. On your next exhale, grip into the fingertips. And as you press into them, lift the forehead up, lifting maybe even the elbows up. We're going to crawl the hands to the right, allowing for some nice stretching through the left side body. Go ahead and melt the torso back down. Keep those long breaths coming. Exhale to press into the fingertips again. This time we're going to crawl all the way off the left side of the mat and then melt down. Exhale, lift, come all the way back into center. From here, we're just going to play with tenting the fingers. Let the forehead come back to the mat, but then on the exhale, lift the navel in, round through the shoulders, feel the forehead lift off. Inhale, soften. Exhale, round and lift. Inhale, soften. Exhale, round and lift. Inhale, soften. This time as we exhale, we're going to round and lift, but then on the inhale, look forward, drag yourself up into a hands and knees position. And take a moment to wiggle it side to side. So kind of getting into that side body here. And then we can do just a few rounds of cat-cow. Inhaling to lift the tail, arch through the back, lift the heart, lift the chin. And then on the exhale, tuck the tail and round. Go at your own pace, but use a pace that feels trackable to you. Feels like you're participating in every single portion of the movement. After your next exhale, return to a neutral tabletop. We'll lift the right leg up behind us, and we're going to do a little activation here. So lower the toes just till they touch the mat. Keep the hips level, but lift the leg until you feel the glute kick on. Lower and lift. Lower and lift. Lower and lift. Last one, lower, lift, and pulse up for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Swing the leg all the way out to the right side. Still try to keep those hips level. The foot might not be much off the ground. Lower it down toward the mat and lift. Lower and lift. 2 more. Last one. As you lift, we're going to pulse up. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Set that foot down and check that the toes point forward, foot's about in line with the left knee. Exhale, send the hips back. Find this asymmetrical child's pose. On an inhale, lift the torso up. Pull yourself back to shoulders over wrists. But then we're going to inhale, sweep the right arm up. And then exhale, thread it under. Once the right shoulder is on the mat, let the right ear plant on the mat. Crawl the left fingertips forward. All right, the hips can go back any amount. We're opening through the shoulder. Maybe we even think of stacking left shoulder over the right. Pressing into that outside edge of the right arm a little bit more. Gently begin to slide the left hand back. Inhale, sweep the right arm up. And exhale, plant the right hand down. From here, we're going to lift the right leg up, swing it all the way back, and bring it back to the mat. Knee underneath the hip. Wiggle it out again. This time noticing maybe the difference between the left and right side. And then again, we'll set up. This time, left leg straightens behind us. Take a moment to square those hips, to engage into the hands, and then lift the left leg up until that glute engages, and lower. Lift and lower. Lift and lower. Last one. Lift, we're going to pulse up for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Swing that leg out to the left. Again, trying to maintain fairly square hips. Lower and lift. Lower and lift. 2 more. Last one, we're going to pulse up. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let that foot plant. Check the alignment and then send the hips back. Asymmetrical child's pose here. A little bit of opening in that left inner thigh. On an inhale, drag yourself back into this asymmetrical tabletop and then swing the left arm up. Exhale to thread it through. Left shoulder to the mat, right hand can crawl forward. Left ear can come to the mat. And then again, we can send the hips back at all if we'd like. We can focus on opening a little bit more, thinking of stacking that right shoulder over the left. Pressing into the back side of the left arm. As you feel ready, slide this right hand back. Inhale to swing the left arm open. And exhale, return to the mat. Again, we've come out the way we came in, so the left leg will lift, swing back, and lower down. Tabletop, wiggle it out. All right, so we've done some cat-cows already. We're gonna bring that into a downward facing dog. So slide the hands forward, a hand print, curl the toes under. Inhale will be normal, but on the exhale, we're gonna hover the knees just a couple inches, and then lower them, inhale. Exhale, hover. Inhale. This time we're gonna exhale, send it all the way up and back. Downward facing dog. Take a few breaths here. Chances to move, chances to find stillness. Really check in with that index and thumb, that they're rooted down here. Might even feel kind of like they're pinching toward each other. Now from here, we're going to find some undulations of the spine, but we're not going to add the legs quite yet. So it's going to feel a little weird. We're going to think of like exhaling and rounding through the back, tucking the chin, and then inhaling, letting the ribs flare forward, and then letting the head follow. So it's really just through the torso and the shoulders that we're trying to find these waves. So allow yourself to experiment here. It might feel awkward, it might feel clunky, but it can be some nice opening through the shoulders, through the thoracic spine. And then from here, we're going to start progressing this into full spinal waves. So we'll start to rock to the toes and then rock back. Rock to the toes on the exhale and rock back. Now rock maybe more toward plank and then use the hips to pull yourself up and back. More toward a plank, use the hips. And we can really get dramatic about it, going all the way forward into our plank, bending the knees almost to the mat and then lifting the hips back up. All the way forward, bend the knees, use the hips. All right, so take a moment here just to experiment with this movement to allow some freedom through the spine. One more. We'll all meet back in a downward facing dog. Take a deep inhale here, bend into the knees. Look toward the hands. On the exhale, we're gonna Malasana Hop. So feet stay wide, only hop as far forward as feels okay this early in the practice. And then sink the hips down. The hands are probably tired. We've done a lot on them. So let's interlace the fingers and roll out the wrists. Take a moment to be head up and go the other direction with the wrists. Let's go ahead and bring hands to heart center. Really elongate the spine, sit tall here. Exhale, lower the right fingertips down. Inhale the left hand up. On the exhale, release and switch. Left fingertips down, right arm reaches. Exhale, come all the way back to center, palm to palm. Press evenly into all four corners of each foot, and then rise up. Reach the arms up, maybe find a little back bend. And exhale, hands to heart center. Take a moment. Our first time standing today, we've already moved so much energy through the body. It might feel a little weird, maybe it feels a little lightheaded. That's okay. You can always use powerful exhales and bending of the knees to reorient, reground. And then we'll sweep the arms out and up, grab opposite elbows. On the exhale, tilt to the right, hips press away to the left. Inhale through center, reestablish length. Exhale, other direction. Inhale through center. Open up the heart. So think of keeping the hips where they are, but just lifting through the heart a little bit. It's almost that same movement as we just did. And then exhale, hands to heart center, soft knees fold all the way down. Plant the hands, step the right foot back, lower that knee, inhale. Exhale, left foot back, plank pose. All right, so I'm going to give you some options today for our vinyasas. You might like to enter them from a downward facing dog, where you ripple forward and back a couple times, working on those spinal undulations. Or you might like to enter them more traditionally. Remember these first ones, it can feel nice to lower the knees and warm up through the motions if you're feeling like that could be helpful. We'll all meet back in a downward facing dog. This time with our downward facing dog, let's step the feet forward 1 footprint and as wide as the mat. Bend into them a little bit so you can really press into the hands, reach the torso back. And then root down through the right hand, reach across the body with the left, grabbing the right leg, and pull against that hand to look under the right armpit. Find a little spinal twist here. Gently release. Plant the left hand, reach across the body with the right hand. Again, pull against that leg to look under the left armpit. And release. Soften into the knees, inhale. Look forward, exhale, hop the feet wide. Malasana Squat at the front edge of the mat. Hands to heart center. Maybe you circle out the wrists again. Maybe you find some stillness. This time, we're gonna reach the left elbow is pressing against the left hand, or sorry, left knee. Reach those fingertips out. As the right arm reaches up, we're gonna reach toward the left shoulder. Maybe the hand comes more toward the neck, that's fine. But if it can go a little bit further toward the shoulder, just think of that as kind of the goal. Keep the knees wide here. Don't lose awareness of the legs. Look up toward the right. Gently release. Plant the right fingertips out to the side. Again, keep the legs engaged. Inhale the left arm up, but then bend that elbow. Maybe reach toward the neck or toward the right shoulder. Keep the knees wide. Gently release. Come all the way back into center. Bring the hands to the heart. Press into all 4 corners of each foot. Go slow motion here. Lift all the way up. Reach those hands up. And then exhale the hands to heart center. A moment to be head up, a moment to be still. And then from here, we'll reach the arms all the way out to the sides and up. Interlace fingers overhead, turn those palms face up. Press down into the feet. And again, we'll lean over to the left, hips press away to the right. Inhale through center. Exhale over to the right, hips go left. Inhale through center. Take a moment to maybe find a little heart opener. So pressing the hands up, lifting through the heart. And then exhale, hands come down to heart center. As you feel ready, we're gonna pull all the way down. Keep some softness in the knees. Plant those hands. This time step the left foot back and lower that knee to inhale. And then exhale, right foot back, plank pose. Opportunity for any sort of vinyasa, including some spinal rolls. We'll all meet in a downward facing dog. Take a couple breaths. All right, we're gonna speed things up a little bit. So soften the knees, inhale. On your exhale, as you hop forward, I want you to think of landing as light as possible, and I want you to think of putting as much weight into the hands as you can. So you might step the feet forward a bit, keep them wide. As you rock shoulders over wrists, really press into the hands, bend the knees, inhale, stare between the wrists on the mat, exhale, hop up, and land the feet down at the front edge of the mat. And just focus on lightness, focus on slowness. Typically, the slower the hop, the more controlled it is. Once you've arrived here, again, hands to heart center for an inhale. Exhale, lower the left fingertips down, open up to the right. This time we're going to reach right hand to the low back or even over to the left hip. Left hand reaches around. Try to grab fingers. If you can grab fingers, awesome. Think of stacking the shoulders, looking up and to the right. If you can't quite bind, that's fine. Just focus on the active reach. If you can bind and you want to take it one step further, we're going to look down toward the mat, shift the weight into the left toes so that you can kind of heel toe the right foot in a little bit more. And then you're going to lift the hips so that you're pressing into the right foot and you're up on the toes of the left foot. I'll face the camera for this. All right, so we're still bound. If that feels okay, you can keep those toes pointed. Start to lift up into what is our flamingo pose. It's flamingo if we stay half bent over, or we can work on lifting all the way up in the bind. If you're lifted, work on a slow, controlled lower as well, getting all the way back down. And then all of us can gently unwind, bring hands to heart center. Exhale, fingertips to the right, left arm reaches up. Again, reach both hands toward the outer right hip. Maybe grab fingers, maybe reach. Maybe stay here focusing on widening the knees and stacking the shoulders. Or maybe look toward the mat and begin to lift the hips. Step the left foot in a bit, come up onto the right toes. And then press into that left foot. Lift all the way up or half the way up. If you're lifted, begin to lower. Release the bind, all of us. Hands to heart center. Inhale, rise all the way up. Exhale, hands come back to heart center. Pivot to face over the right foot. You know where we're headed here. We've been doing this one a lot lately, where we find our warrior three, but we're gonna do that same variation of yesterday, or Tuesday. So bend into the right knee, bend the left heel up toward the left sit bone. Really reach that knee up, hug the outer hips in. Think of opening through the heart. Hands can be at heart center, or we can hold thumbs and fists out to the side, finding what is a Thunderbird style pose in some indigenous lineages of yoga. One more breath wherever you are. Exhale, hands to heart center. Left knee comes toward the right calf. And then we're going to gently lower the hands down. Lower the left foot at the center of the mat. Left hand inside of right foot. Inhale, open twist. Exhale, bring the right hand down. Frame out the right foot. Set up and then inhale up, high lunge. Take a couple breaths here, this nice familiar shape. It's a strengthening shape for sure, but it's also familiar, so maybe it takes a little less effort in some way. Take a breath here. And then exhale, we're gonna open up, warrior two. Gazes over the right fingers. Inhale, lower the left hand, reach the right arm up. On the exhale, windmill the hands down. Step it back, plank pose. Your vinyasa. No right or wrong way to do it. We'll meet in a downward facing dog. Step the feet up a bit, keep them wide. We're gonna do that same hop. And you might take a couple. Sometimes it's nice to take a couple. Rock the shoulders over the wrists. Gaze at a spot on the mat that's between the wrists. Press into the hands and keep the arms steady. Bend just the knees, inhale. Exhale. Hop those feet up and wide. Again, maybe take a couple hops, no need to rush it. We'll all meet in a Malasana Squat as we feel ready. And from here, we're going to take it a different direction. So option to stay in Malasana. This might feel really nice on your hips. It might feel nice on your spine. Or option to take it into our crow pose. So if you're going to take it into crow, I would maybe take it back on your mat a little bit. We're going to plant the hands, lift the hips. Maybe you reposition the legs a little bit. Bring the knees to the backs of the arms. As you lean into the arms, you keep pressing the mat away. It's the same engagement as our hops. Stare at the mat ahead of you, and then maybe begin to lift the heels off of the mat. Now all of us are going to slowly lower back down to our squat. Bring the hands to heart center. Maybe circle out the wrists. On an inhale, press into the feet. Rise all the way up. Reach up. And exhale, hands to heart center. Turn to face the left toes. We're going to do that same shape. So bend into the left knee, reach right heel toward right sit bone, lift that knee up. Outer hips hug in. Palm to palm at heart center, or thumbs and fists out to the side, shoulder blades drawing toward each other, fists reaching out at the same time. Take a breath here. Bring hands to heart center if they're not there already. Lower the right knee toward the left calf, Shiva squat. And then inhale, lift the right leg enough that you can bring the hands down and step that right foot back toward the center of the mat. Right hand inside of left foot, inhale, opening to the left. Exhale, frame that foot out. Set yourself up. And then inhale up, high lunge. Take a breath. We'll take a couple breaths actually. On your next inhale, we're going to windmill open into warrior two. Think of your sit bones drawing toward one another. And even though the arms are engaged, there's a softness to them. The shoulders are softened from the ears. Lower the right hand onto the right leg. Inhale, reversing the warrior. And then exhale, cartwheel those hands down, step it back. Plank pose. This time we're gonna all lower all the way down to the belly. A little bit of back bending here. So press into the tops of the feet, press into the pubic bone. On your inhale, lift the torso as much as you can. Tense the fingers out to the side for just some barely there support. Draw shoulders toward each other. Press into the feet. Press into the pubic bone. Lift the navel. Now from here, hover the hands, cactus arms out to the side. Option to add in the legs, lifting the feet. Our quads might be feeling it. Lift a little bit more, re-engage through that navel. And then on your exhale, melt slowly back to the mat. Give those hips a wiggle. Extend the right arm out to the right, palm face down, palm in line with forehead. And then press into the left hand to roll to the right side of the body. If it's easy for you to plant the left foot, then do so, knee towards ceiling. Maybe the right foot joins it. And we can always reach back with the left hand toward the left hip. Maybe reach toward the right fingers. If you were to grab them, it would be on the thumb side of the index finger, if that makes sense. Like the left fingers would loop around, grabbing onto the right index finger. We can look up and to the left. Take some nice deep breaths here to really expand through that right shoulder, to open through the chest. This is the opposite of what we spend most of our days doing if we're seated, even most of our standing posture. Use an inhale to unwind. Come all the way back to the belly. Scan through the body. Notice the difference between left and right at this moment. And then as you feel ready, right palm plants, left palm plants out to the left, in line with the forehead. And then press into the right hand and roll to the left side. Maybe planting the right foot, maybe planting the left. If you plant both, I always like to press into the feet, lift my hips and scoot them away from the extended arm. Again, find that openness. Breathe into it. Gently inhale to unwind, coming back to the belly. And we're not going to go very far. We're going to stay head down for just 2 breaths. Letting the shoulders just kind of restabilize. And on the next breath, we'll slide the hands back and very gently work our way into a seat. So you might do big toes together, knees wide, spine upright. And if that doesn't feel good in the knees, you can find any other variation. But at this point in the practice, we are going to engage in a pranayama. And we'll do alternate nostril breath, so Nadi Shodhana. We can start by turning the left palm face up, thumb against index fingernail, and then bring the fingertips of the right hand to the forehead. Have the right thumb hovering outside of the right nostril, left pinky, or if you're like me and your ring finger really wants to be, keeps on wanting to be involved, just let the ring finger be what closes off the left nostril. All right, so we'll start by exhaling everything we have in the lungs. Inhale fully through both nostrils. Close off right, exhale left. Inhale left. Exhale right. Inhale right. Exhale left. Inhale left. We'll keep doing this, exhaling on the switch, or switching on the exhale. Let your breath go at whatever pace and depth feels best. Try to soften through the jaw and the forehead. And the shoulders. The next time that you breathe through the right, exhaling and inhaling, we'll release both hands palm face down on the legs and then exhale through the mouth. Notice the lingering effect. We'll prepare to move again. So we'll take our time meeting in a downward facing dog. You might want to find a tabletop, find a couple rounds of cat-cow, find some organic movement of any flavor. And we'll prepare for our last set on each side. So, meeting in a downward dog. We can step the feet wide and a little bit forward. From here, crawl the hands back and set up in your squat at the back edge of the mat. So we're in our yogi squat here. And I want us to just feel the compression of the hips. Feel how close the knees are into the body. Okay, if we are going to make hops where we get some lightness, then the legs have to be this far into the body for that to happen. So we're going to take some hops forward. And each of these hops, we're going to think of hugging the legs in tight. So we'll keep the knees in as close as we can, only lift the hips as much as we can while maintaining that closeness. And then as you rock into the hands, kick the feet up. Move the hands forward a bit. Kick the feet up. Move the hands forward. Kick the feet up. And then eventually we'll end up at the front edge of the mat. And once you arrive here, press into those feet, lift all the way up, reach those arms up. Exhale, hands to heart center. Twist to face the right foot. This time, instead of a warrior slash bird shape, we are going to find a half moon. So you can do that two ways. Some people like to start from a warrior, lower the right fingertip, and then stack the left hip, open the left arm. Maybe by entering that way, you even challenge yourself to not lower that right hand and to just pivot the torso. Totally up to you, whatever feels good in your body. Take a moment here though. Maybe you even trace a line along the floor, up the wall, and all the way to the ceiling to look toward the left hand. On an exhale, lower both hands down, step the left foot back. Left hand inside of left leg. Inhale, right arm up. Exhale, bring that right hand down. On an inhale, we're going to find our high lunge. But from here, we'll bring palms together overhead. Bend the left knee almost to the mat. Bend the elbows, thumbs toward the nape of the neck. On an inhale, straighten the right leg, straighten the arms, finding a back bend. Inhale, come all the way up through center. Exhale, warrior two. Take a couple breaths here. On your inhale, come all the way up, straightening every limb. Exhale into the left leg for Skandasana. So an opening of that right hip. And I want you to know that keeping low here is not always, it's not like the most advanced shape, right? Sometimes we think the lower the hips are, the better. That's a really passive version of this shape, and sometimes that's really nice. It can also be nice to stay at this halfway lift and reach the arms forward. So we're doing a really active shape. So totally up to you. Take just one more breath here. And then press into the hands enough that you can lift the hips and pivot to the left foot at the back edge of the mat. Lower the right knee down. Left hand to left knee, inhale, right arm up. Low lunge. We're gonna stay here for a while. This is one of those shapes that really is restorative into the body, and it doesn't always get as much attention as it should. We've worked our quads a lot, so this shape can really provide some kind of nourishment after all of that. So we can have the hands on the front leg, hands at the hips, both arms up. We can cactus the arms. We can bind the back leg if that feels good. I'd suggest rolling to the top of the kneecap first and then binding it. Every exhale, let those hips get a little bit heavier. Gently begin to release out of this shape. Plant both hands. Step into a downward facing dog from here. Root down through the right hand. Reach back with the left hand. Grab any part of the left leg. Option to maybe work on floating the right leg up. If the right leg is lifted, lower it. Slide the left hand to the left thigh, bend the knees, and turn all the way to the front edge of the mat. So we're just crossing the legs, finding a seat. You can uncross the legs once you arrive. Let the right arm be in line, wrist to shoulder. And we'll just find the shoulder opener here. So scooting the hips forward, keeping the shoulders level, and lifting through the heart. Excuse me. Draw the knees into the chest and use them to rock your way back up to a seat. From here, we're going to find our external rotation of the right hip. So 2 options. Option 1, ankle to knee, finding a seated pigeon, keeping a proud chest and closing the gaps of the body to make it deeper. Option 2, Dvipada Kapotasana or double-legged pigeon, aka fire log pose, where we bring both shins parallel to the front edge of the mat, right leg stacked to top left. So wherever you find yourself, we're going to be here for a few breaths. Allow the shoulders to relax if you're in Dvipada Kapotasana. In either shape, soften through the jaw, soften through the eyes, maybe even close the eyes. On an inhale, begin to loosen your way up out of this, whatever variation you're in. You can kick the legs long, give them a shake. And then from here, we need to make our way back to a downward facing dog. So that might look like crossing the ankles and rocking over. If you want to add in a crow pose again or a headstand, this would be a great place to do it, where you potentially even take your crow into a headstand. And then you shoot back from there, or even slowly lower from there. We'll all meet in a downward dog. And we'll make our final hop to the front of the mat. So we did those hops from back to front last time. This time, we're just going to apply that. So the legs aren't as close to the body as they would be in the squat, but I want you to work on getting them that close in the air, okay? So rock forward, shoulders beyond the wrist, grip into the fingertips. And if you're like Scared of going over here? Press into your fingertips and notice how you can push yourself back just by pressing into your fingertips. All right, now from here, on your inhale, you're gonna rock forward, bend the knees, exhale, try to bring those legs up into that inverted Malasana. And just play with it. Just be playful here. Don't have expectations or anything. Just allow it to be an exploration. Try to land lightly. Or not, like I just did. And we'll eventually meet in the squat. Last squat of the day. Your quads are probably excited for that. Inhale, stand all the way up. Exhale, hands to heart center. Pivot toward the left foot. From here, again, we're gonna find our half moon pose. Maybe by lowering the left hand, opening the hip. Think of kicking out of that right heel and reaching out of the crown of the head. If that leg is lifted, go ahead and lower it back down. Re-square up. Inhale, high lunge. Exhale, bend the knee almost to the mat, bend the elbows. Inhale, straighten both the arms and that right leg. Use an inhale to come up out of this and open into warrior two. We have a little bit of a hold here, not much. On our inhale, the arms come up, leg straightens. Skandasana to the right. Again, maybe going halfway and reaching the arms forward. Maybe going all the way. Maybe doing a little bit of both. One more breath. Use an inhale to lift the hips enough to pivot to face the right foot. And then set up for your low lunge. Right hand to right knee, left arm lifts up. Again, same options as last time, both arms lifted, cactus arms, hands to hips. Bind for the back leg. We're here for a little longer than normal. So allow every breath to be a new experience of the shape. Where can you soften? Use your next breath to gently unwind, ease out of the shape, step back, downward facing dog. Last shoulder strengthener. Plant the left hand, reach back for the right leg with the right hand. Option to float the left leg up. Lower the left leg if it's lifted. Slide the right hand up the right thigh and then bend the knees, pivot on the feet to take a seat facing the front. Left wrist in line with shoulder. Maybe you scoot the hips forward. Maybe you lower to the right forearm. But keep a proud chest. Find nice deep breaths here. Draw the knees in, rock your way up to a seat. And then we'll just find our external rotation of the left hip. So either left ankle to right knee, or Dvipada Kapotasana with left leg on top. Wherever you are, again, instantly start to settle into this. Relax through the jaw, the eyes. Just a couple more breaths here. And then we can inhale to ease out of this. Kick the legs long, give them a wiggle. And then from here, we're gonna find our way to our backs. So option to find some core. Maybe you hold a boat pose and then do a slow lower down. Or if you're looking for something more restorative, grab the backs of the legs and make your way to your spine, hugging the knees in. Whatever you do it with intention and attention. And these final few moments are yours. So I have purposefully created a little bit longer closing time tonight. You might use that to move through a series of shapes, like some spinal twists, maybe some back bends, maybe a finalizing inversion. Keeping in mind that legs up the wall can be a great finalizing inversion, especially after a class like today where we had quite a bit of leg stuff going on. We had quite a few longer holds in restorative shapes, but your body might want to restorative hold in something else, like a twist, for example, or a plow pose. Alternatively, if you want to bring the challenge to your mind more than your body at this moment, you can find a comfortable seat, and we'll use these last few minutes in meditation. Wherever you are, allow your awareness to be drawn inward. Notice how the breath contributes to the experience of where your body is at this moment. No matter where you are, we can begin to clear the mind, knowing that meditation isn't a completely blank slate. There's no stopping the processes of the brain entirely, but there is a finding distance from them. Picture in your mind's eye a high mountain lake. Picture how the wind disturbs the water on the surface. There can be waves and ripples. In a storm, it can look like the ocean. But deep within the lake, there is stillness. Deep within the lake, there's no tumult. All of the dusts have settled. As you picture that stillness, that heaviness, that silence, that darkness that would exist at the bottom of a high mountain lake, I want you to feel that within you. If you had to bring attention to one place in your body where that darkness, that stillness, that heaviness is most manifest, where would that place be? And then allow your attention to dwell there. Not searching, not grasping, just being. Begin to gently draw our awareness out of this place of stillness by deepening the breath. Maybe we add in little movements like rubbing of the thighs or of the knees, rolling of the shoulders, rolling of the head. Eventually, we can reach the arms all the way up, palms coming together overhead, and exhale, hands coming all the way down to heart center. Might we remember this stillness, this steadiness that exists within us always? And might we let it seep into all that we do? This grounding presence, bringing us back to who we really are. Namaste.